All right. Hello, guys. My name is Austin Garnett, and the thinking strategy I did, or the article I covered here, is, if it loads here, Thinking Strategies, Questioning Strategies That Propels Readers Forward, by myself, Austin Garnett. So to begin here, what is important to know about the questioning strategies? I would say that curiosity is what creates questions, and this was a very big, heavy-hitting thing on the article there. And with this, we need to make sure as educators that we do not um, like diminish their curiosity, or that we do not encourage them not to explore this. We need to make sure that when they're curious, they do explore this further and answer those questions they're curious in. Every person has a puzzle drive, and so we need to use this to our advantage. In the article, it talked about how a award-winning physicist named Richard Feynman in like the 1980s there was an award-winning physicist, and he explained that every person has a puzzle drive, and we need to use this to our advantage. That way people look forward to and try to explain and figure out answers to their questions. Schools too often are looking for a student to answer something, but we need to be different and look out for their questions, as this is where we can find the true value and get true excitement from our students. And asking students questions can lead to the ability for our students to better monitor, comprehend, and interact within the text better. And if a teacher has a question, then so can the student. So we need to make sure as teachers we model this, and that we need to make sure that we are asking questions, showing them when and how and why these questions are important, things like that. And we need to encourage our students to explore through their questions, and especially lingering questions, which I'll get into later. But these questions are very important of the answer, as it shows that they are interested in a topic, and we need to reward that and make sure that their questions get answered. And let's see here. And we need to know the difference between types of questions, and we will discuss this later in detail with my content map and stuff like that. All right, and sorry, let me move forward here. And so what are different ways we can use this with students? We can encourage our students to record their thoughts before, during, and after a reading. This is important, as any questions before maybe could be like summary questions, or trying to predict maybe what could be in the article, or maybe questions you have about the topic before going in. During is more so like questions you have that are from the text, or any lingering questions you're going to have, and afterward you can maybe answer some of those questions, or ask new questions that you felt didn't get answered. We can model for our students how to ask questions. So like I was talking about before, it's very important to make sure that the students know that us teachers even have questions, and that our curiosity doesn't burn away. And using I learned and I wonder charts there are pretty important. I have an example of that after this slide here. And those can also be KWL charts, know, wondered, learn. So those are pretty important for our students to be able to express themselves about the certain topic. And diving deep on questions that do not get answered within the text is important, as most often these are those heavy-hitting questions, and those that are the most important, or that can create the most discussion. And reading books that have similarities with the students can lead to better questions. On page 4 of the article I read, there was actually a story about this, in which the students were reading a book in which some of the characters had like divorced families, or spent time between two families, and the students who dealt with divorce actually were able to pick up on this theme pretty quickly, and they had a lot of good questions about it. So it kind of shows the value of maybe doing a subject area or a topic in which students are familiar in their own lives. We can model how to categorize those questions. That way our students don't have everything in other places and getting all confused. Teaching the students between the different types of questions, such as thick versus thin questions, I'll go through in a moment. Reading and then writing down your questions, and then going back and taking notes that match those questions is helpful. That way you go through the reading, you develop your questions, and then you go and seek those answers out. It kind of helps the process go a little quicker, instead of writing stuff down and then making questions, and maybe things don't match up quite right, or you don't have all the answers that you could have. Question webs are a helpful organization tool. I also have this shown later on. And asking beyond the line questions teaches to expand the meaning and ties back to deeper thinking. And again, those deeper thinking questions are important because they're taking a little bit more thought, and it's not just finding the answer in the text. They're going to do further research. So this is the example of that KWL chart, or that I learned, I wonder thing. Students just fill it out here with what they know beforehand, what they wondered beforehand or after, and then what they learned throughout the reading. This is an example of a question web. Sorry, every time I'm somewhere, I gotta move myself. So the question web here, it's kind of like a content map in my opinion. You just start with your question there in the middle. I kind of expand outward about how the question was answers. And then you just have an I am thinking part below it, kind of expand your thinking, or maybe a question that wasn't answered, or what maybe your own thought about the question could be. And then last but not least here, it's pretty hard to read, but here's my content map of different questioning types. I won't go through them all. The main one I'll go through is between thin and thick questions. I really like this. It was in one of the pages on the article. Thin questions are questions that clarify confusion or the understanding of words, while thick questions are normally starting with like why, how come, I wonder. They typically deal with, sorry about that, gotta pull it up here. They typically deal with large content area questions, or a lot of times they will be large universal concepts that the students have. So kind of that's one of those differences. Again, here I have a lot of different types of questions, and it's important to know these different questions because they all have different values and different times which it supports it to use those. But that's what I covered this week. So thank you all for listening, and hope you guys have a good day. Thank you.